Hi, and welcome back to Pasta Amore, Pasta with Love. Today I'm going to show you how to make that wonderful Italian potato dumpling that we like to call gnocchi. Now let's go back and let's start with, first of all, the spelling and the pronunciation of that dish. Okay, it's spelled G-N-O-C-C-H-I, and it's pronounced gnocchi. I've heard so many different pronunciations of this word over the years. They look at the word and they say, oh, they're gnocchis. No, they're not gnocchis. They're gnocchis. No, they're not gnocchis. They're gnocchis. I've heard so many different ways. There's only one way. It's gnocchi. Gnocchi. GN in Italian language is gna. Okay? So, proper pronunciation of G-N-O-C-C-H-I is gnocchi. Okay? From this day forward. Alright. So, let's think about the dish. Okay? Gnocchi, in its purest form, is basically a potato dumpling. Fresh potatoes with an egg yolk, some flour, a little bit of cheese, all come together as a light dough. Okay? Sometimes gnocchi gets a bad rap, right? They're this really heavy leaden sinkers that can sit in the pit of our stomach that we don't want to go swimming after eating them. Or they can be this light, velvety, pillowy morsel that's just like heaven in your mouth. Okay? What determines how light or how heavy the gnocchi can be is a couple things. First, let's go to the potato. Right? You just can't grab any potato to make gnocchi. Right? You can't see the red bliss. You can't see new potatoes. You can't use those. What you do need is a starchy potato. Okay? We have two different types of potatoes, and one is starchy, one is waxy. Waxy has high sugar, low starch. The starchy potato has high starch, low sugar, produces a more fluffier potato. It's the potatoes you want to use for mashed potatoes, French fries, etc., where you want a fluffy, light inside. Right? So choose the right potato. Best thing straight up is a Idaho / Baker / russet / starchy potato. Right? So this is your Idaho Baker. Alright, so now many recipes, here's the second part of where things can go wrong. Ask you to boil the potato, okay, like you were going to make mashed potatoes, but what are you doing? You're putting it in water. You're adding moisture to the potato. A lot of times it's hard to get that moisture out of there. So the more moisture, the more flour I have to add to my potato, which takes on a heavier final product. So what I've done over the years is I resorted to baking the potato. Think of how fluffy a baked potato is. You open it up, there's no water. So we are eliminating that water aspect by baking the potato straight up. Okay, so the next thing now is how much flour to add. Okay, and there's no hard and fast rule here. Right? It's all a touch and feel and play as we go here. So to about a pound of potatoes, which I have two about 8-ounce potatoes here, I'm going to add about 4 ounces of flour in 1 egg yolk. Right? The more eggs I add, the more flour I have to add. So I just want this to come together until it's all one dough and just come together. I don't need this really tough, durable dough anymore. I need a really light, kind of soft yet firm enough to where the gnocchi will stay together during cooking. Alright, so I've gone ahead, I baked these potatoes, they're still warm, they're just out of the oven, okay? So, what do? I'm just going to take, now our baked potatoes, alright, I'm going to peel the peel off around, okay? And then we need to get them to a puree. All right. So, just like we're making mashed potatoes, okay, you can still see the steam is coming off of these potatoes. So, I just grab a small paring knife and I can easily pull off the peel, and I'm not wasting a lot of the potato. Okay, so I got my, now it's going right into either, if you have a potato ricer, okay, or you have the old-fashioned food mill. However, whatever method you use to get your potatoes to a puree, that's what you need to do next. Okay? So, I'm going to take the peel off of the second one. Now on the market, you've got several types. You've got some Peruvian purple potatoes. They would make really cool looking gnocchi. All right? It's a little bit starchy, so you got that starch in your potato. Now, I'm not saying that it's against the law. You can never make potatoes or gnocchis from any potatoes. It's just that if you're just starting out and you want gnocchi 101, all right, start out with your basic baked potato. You can see now all that flesh of that potato, how fluffy. So, right into my food mill. Okay? Okay. So our food mill, any brownish spots you just want to remove. Okay, so here's what we got. We got our potatoes in our food mill. I've attached it to the side of my bowl. Okay? And now I'm just going to pass them through. Okay? Every time you use a food mill, it's usually a couple spins this way and then a half turn backwards to get everything that's underneath. Okay? And we want to assist it, push the potato down under the blade there, go backwards. And we're getting a beautiful puree. You want to try to get as much of the potato passed through the food mill or the ricer because it's all about your yield, right? I want as much yield out of this dough as possible. So you also want it lump free. You don't want any lumps in your potato puree. Okay, so now I'm going to look under here, scrape if there's any more underneath. That goes into my bowl. So I've got a puree now, puree potato, okay? So to that, I said I was going to add 1 egg yolk, right? And about 4 ounces of flour. Now, I have more flour here, okay? Here's the trick. I only add as much flour as I need, okay? We're gonna see as we start to roll this out, because if I add all that sometimes the recipe calls for, sometimes it's too much, and it becomes they come like sinkers. All right, so I need a little salt in my gnocchi. Okay, I need a little pepper. I need a little Parmigiano. Why not, right? A little flavor in there. Okay, and here's another little trick. I always like to put a little fresh nutmeg in my gnocchi. So I take a little, and I'm going to grate, just to give that little sweetness to it. Okay, so I'm going to take my wooden spoon here, right, break that yolk. I'm going to get this formed first, get it all blended, and then I'm going to use my hands to mix the dough. Alright, so everything's blended. Now I'm going to turn I'll flour my board here. I'm going to turn out my gnocchi mixture. And I'm going to take with my hand on my board with my flour. And I'm going to knead. Okay, and I'm not doing it violently. Okay, I don't want to develop the flour too much. Now I can feel it with my hand. I can go add a little more. Okay. So the idea is keep it light as possible. We're almost there. I'm going to taste this too, because I need to taste my dough, right? So I'm just going to take a piece. I want to get the nutmeg, the salt, the Parmesan cheese flavor in there. But mostly, it's about the potato. Okay. Nice flavor. Okay, I'm going to do a touch more. It's getting a little sticky on me. Okay, but not too bad. Okay. It's a very, very soft, pliable dough. All right, so now I'm to where I think it feels good to me. Okay. I'm going to do a little test. Okay, I'm going to make sure I got my rapidly boiling water. Okay. I'm just going to take a small piece, a little touch of flour here on my board, and I'm going to roll it. Okay. Now, you need a little flour, but too much, it'll just slide on you. You want to roll it until you get a nice rope, about finger size. Okay, that's looking right about the right thickness. Okay, so just for my test cook, I'm not going to score them, I'm not going to do anything with them, I'm just going to, that's about the size you want right there, okay? Now I'm just going to take them, and I'm going to, if they dissolve totally in the water, then I know I didn't add enough flour, okay? Usually they should stay together, they should float. Okay, so let's see what happens here. A couple minutes in the water, and if I like what I see when I come out, I'm just going to continue. Okay, how quick did that take to come together? Not long at all. All right, so they're rolling around there. They're not really floating yet, but the good thing is they're not falling apart either. Alright, so they're starting to float now. Okay. I'm gonna take these out. Alright, now I need to taste. Well, it is right now the perfect consistency. And I owe that, not because I'm good, but because I'm maybe smart in the fact that I didn't add extra water, extra moisture to the potatoes. Okay, they're good to go. All right, good. But now, I need to make sure I have a dry surface. Really, that was super quick and pretty easy. So again, I'm going to put down a little bit of flour, not too much. Okay? And I'm not going to roll out this whole thing at once. I'm going to take portions. Okay? I'll go see. And then I'll show you what we do with them when we're actually ready to make gnocchi. Okay, so we want a nice rope. I call them ropes because that's what they look like. And I try to get it so that they're all even all the way down. Okay, sometimes I can do that. Okay, I got 2 ropes, so when I go to cut them, I put them together. I want to put a little bit of flour on my cutter. Okay, probably about an inch, inch and a half. Alright, so a couple of things. When I was growing up as a kid and my mom was making gnocchi, she would always let us come over and just take our finger and we just do a little finger roll, okay? Just backwards. Okay? And this little indentation, whether you do it with the finger roll or you take the tines of a fork, right? Get some flour on the tines of a fork and roll it backwards, and you want to get the score. You want to score these gnocchi, okay? Così. Okay, and now either the dimple or the forking of the gnocchi will hold the sauce. Okay, so I'm going to transfer what I have here to a sheet. Okay, be very careful when you're handling, okay, because they're delicato. All right, the other thing you can do, some people, and I have one, have a gnocchi board. Okay, so what do we do with that? We roll out, again, our rope. Okay, I think people are afraid that the dough's too soft a lot of times, and so they keep adding flour. Okay, so again, I'm going to portion. And then now this gnocchi board has the grooves in here, okay? I just pick up a gnocchi and with the palm of my hand I roll it right down, and it's going to create these grooves that we talked about. This is probably the quickest way, if you have a board now, and the most uniform. Okay, so I'm going to pick up those guys. Now, you say, what can you make these ahead of time? Absolutely. You do a couple things. Okay, we can make them like we're making here. Go ahead and cook them, sauce them, eat them, or lay them on a sheet pan, okay, flat pan. Put them in the freezer, let them get totally frozen, then put them in baggies, and then you can take them right from the freezer right to the boiling water. So you can make these on a weekend, and weeknights you want to come home, you want to have gnocchi, you don't have to go through all this. They're in your freezer, ready to go. Again. So this is only, what was 2 potatoes? Alright, so I'll probably get, so pound, 14, probably about 1.5 pounds of gnocchi. Okay? And a little bit more. Okay, line it up. So what I'm going to do is finish these up, and then I'm going to show you how to do a really simple, really classic Roman gnocchi presentation. Okay, so right off of my board, così. Now, I've done as many different flavors of these. What can we do with these? Spinach is a very common. So to that potato mixture, I would take a fresh spinach puree that has been totally dried out, wrung out of all excess moisture, fold it into my dough. I could add saffron, which would be this bright, super bright, vibrant yellow. I could do beets. I could do a beet puree in here and make red ones. You can do fresh herbs in here. It's just limitless. But again, be careful what you add to the gnocchi dough. Think about the moisture content you're adding. Do I have to then add more flour? And I don't want sinkers that will not set well in the pit of your stomach. Okay, so I got my water boiling. Now, I'm also going to heat up. The recipe is really simple. It's a Roman dish, your basic marinara sauce, whatever is your recipe, that's going to be the base for your sauce. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to drop these guys in, get them close to the water. Okay, they're in. Okay, this is going to be, all right, I got my sauce on the fire. And to this, I'm going to add a little bit of ricotta, right? Some Parmigiano. I got some basil. That's pretty much it. So it's going to be creamy pink, and it really will complement the gnocchi really well. You don't want to totally. I wouldn't put like the bolognese with this because now my potatoes would be lost in that sauce. This is just a really nice mellow sauce when we're all said and done because of the ricotta in there. Okay, so my sauce is simmering. I don't know if you can see the gnocchis are starting to float. Okay. They're not all floating yet, but they're about halfway up. Okay, I can start moving these around. They're sticking together nicely. Look at that. Okay, gnocchis are in, right? Like I said, I'm going to add some ricotta. Why not? Okay, just very gently let that melt right into the sauce. Shut off my heat because the gnocchis are hot. Obviously the sauce is hot. I'm going to do a little sprinkle of Parmigiano in here. Got some basil that was in the garden and it was dried. We dried out it and now we're going to add it back to our sauce here. Okay, so now we're ready to serve. Okay, again, I want to just take my gnocchi out, delicato, and I'm using a spoon with a hole. I don't want all that sauce. Again, it's about the pasta. It's not about the sauce as much. Couple more here. Perfetto. Okay. Now a little bit more Parmigiano back over the top. And if you wanted to, you just wanted to serve this nicely. Okay? just put a little dollop of ricotta right there in the middle of it, okay? And guests can swirl it in again and get that fresh, subtle, it's all about mouthfeel of this dish. This dish is mouthfeel, and now I'm gonna feel it myself right now, okay? So, what you want, oh, they're so tender. This is probably the best gnocchi I've ever made. I ain't lying. I'm just saying, sometimes, you know, you just get it right. Okay, if I wanted to dip a little bit of that ricotta, oh my God. You have to try this. I am serious, guys. It's not that difficult. You just saw me do it in about 10 minutes. Okay? So, let me know what you think. I'm gonna post the recipe along with the video. All right? Please give me your feedback. Let me know that if this works for you. Because I tell you what, it works for me. All right, until next time, Chef Joe Mele saying ciao ciao, buon appetito.